And we're back with more of the Shacknews Awards 2023. The train just keeps rolling down the tracks. We're going to talk about the best multiplayer game of the year 2023. It's important to note that this is not an ongoing game category. This is a multiplayer game that released this year. And here are the nominees. Counter-Strike 2. Valve Software made a game. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Street Fighter 6, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, F-Zero 99, and Deceive Inc. So those are the nominees. Let's get to talking about them. Where should we start? Donovan, you want to talk to us about Counter-Strike 2 real quick?
Yeah, sure. Counter-Strike 2 came out this year. Valve pulled an Overwatch 2 with it, just kind of completely updating and overhauling the first Counter-Strike. Oh, Counter-Strike Go. Gave it a fresh coat of paint, much more modern. Movement systems, a little bit updated. Guns look nicer. Some new smoke technology, some grenade explosion technology upgrades. But at its core, it's still Counter-Strike, which is a very good game. It endured as one of the most popular multiplayer games before it got the massive overhaul. So no surprise that it is still quite good and enjoyable. It's still kind of the page one tactical shooter. That's where you go.
You know, we've
So
heard a
unlike
lot
other
about...
sequels, it's not just the one with the two after. They did like good upgrades and good up changes to it.
Yeah, it's
I
using
mean, yeah,
Source 2 engine, so yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say, it's also an esport that, in a year where a lot of esports have collapsed and died, like,
Mhm.
Counter-Strike's still going. And this
It
is now.
dominates in the EU. It's so popular in the EU. It's like
Yeah.
the number one esport in the EU. I don't know if that's true,
Yeah,
but
those,
it's really popular out
like,
there.
Intel, Extreme Masters, like, there's still a ton of money behind this game, and this is an esport. And it's still, honestly, one of my favorite FPS games to watch. High competitive play of.
Mhm.
I thought it was worth mentioning as a multiplayer game in this category.
Yeah. Community support will always be there.
But yeah, and that's also the only real multiplayer shooter in this category this year. I can talk a little bit about Super Mario Bros. Wonder multiplayer. Had the chance to
Mhm.
review that game earlier this year. Gave it a 10 out of 10 because it's pretty much awesome. And one thing that I noted in my review is the multiplayer experience, both online and local, is materially better than anything we've seen from a 2D Mario game ever. Uh, I kind of got burnt out of the new Super Mario Bros. Multiplayer formula. I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of friendships were ruined by new Super Mario Bros. Multiplayer. And Nintendo did something smart, and they removed the unnecessary collision detection of two characters on the screen. So if you're Yoshi, you can still have someone ride you around as Yoshi. That's cool, because that's teamwork. Now you could troll and just jump off the level as Yoshi. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm sure there's still some problems in households that are playing Wonder multiplayer. There's always going to be someone finding a reason to blame someone else. But the online play, Nintendo online play has been categorically terrible for an extremely long time. And this is the first one ever to have online play that I didn't hate. And it's a different. They employed like a different strategy to it, a different philosophy that kind of takes some Souls born influences into it, and it works. It may not be exactly what everyone wanted in a multiplayer Mario game yet, but I feel like they've set the groundwork for something going forward for a lot of their 2D side scrollers.
I even feel like it's like a party game almost. Like you can bust that out with like
Yes.
four people and have a lot of fun. Like I said, I've talked about this before, but like, if Nicole dies or I die, like we'll try to get away from each other like, so you don't spawn, and it becomes like this kind of fun game in of itself. It's a negative condescending game, but it's still fun. And I feel like when you have four characters on the screen with the standees with the ghost mechanics, it can be like this really party fun thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of rare for like a multiplayer game to be so fun on a couch together in like 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's both, right? It's an online multiplayer game, and it's a couch co-op multiplayer game, so it definitely deserves to be nominated. It does seem a little weird to see a Mario 2D side scroller in this category, but here we are. It's 2023. There might be even weirder nominees coming up. But yeah, our next one, Street Fighter 6. Did I not go through the list of the nominees yet? Should I do that
You
first?
did.
I did? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Scatterbrain. But yeah, Street Fighter 6, our next nominee here. I'd say I can just go over some of like the high order things that they did that landed them in this category. The game's crossplay, which is huge. We at Shacknews love crossplay because it means that friends don't have to figure out what system to buy a game on. They can play on whatever system they want. This game runs well on PC, so you can play PC crossplay with your friends on PlayStation, with your friends on Xbox, not on Switch yet. I believe it's shipped with rollback netcode. So this is I think this is the best online Street Fighter 6 Street Fighter multiplayer experience we've ever had. And they also introduced that concept. What's that arcade thing called?
The Battle Hub.
The Battle Hub.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, they created this Street Fighter verse where you can hang out, you can watch other people play, you can challenge strangers, you can get your friends together in a room, you can spectate your friends as they play. It's awesome, kind of across the board. And then yes, there's the competitive multiplayer side of the game too, which is excellent. So, anyone else want to chime in on Street Fighter 6 nomination for best multiplayer game?
Yes.
Go for it, TJ.
I think that this is not only like, first off, by creating we've played so many different multiplayer games via Shack Battles and Shacknews stimulus games and big team building, and what that has shown me in modern gaming, among more than anything else, is that it must be very, very hard to make a competent multiplayer lobby system, because not many there are a lot of games out there that don't pull it off right. And I'm talking about being able to get into a match with my friends easily, being able to spectate my friends playing, being able to engage in either public matches with my buddies and other people, or private lobbies with my buddies, and then like just the social aspect of the Battle Hub is so cool. Like, they made this all you need to join up with your friends in Street Fighter 6. You just need to know they just need to tell you what server they're on, and you can find it so easily. Get in there, play the game, jump into some Battle Hub matches, do some extreme battle. You can jump on one of the little arcade cabinets that have retro games on them in the corner of the Battle Hub. You can do so much in that social system, and I think that like sets it apart from a lot of not just fighting games, but a lot of multiplayer games, of just how easy it is to get together and interact with other people the way that you want to.
To your point on spectating, TJ, like, there's one thing that I would love Mario Kart 8 to do, right? If I could just be the spectator in a room of my friends, I think that would take content creation to a different level, and that's something that's, I think, Street Fighter 6 nailed. I'd love to see it. You're right. It should become a best practice, not just with fighting games, kind of across the board for multiplayer games.
Yeah, there's some awesome things you can do in Street Fighter 6, and the Battle Hub is definitely central to some of that. I've had some friends who were trying to learn a new character, and so, everyone that plays that character hopped in the Battle Hub, got a lobby going, and showed them, also, they have online training mode and stuff like that too. So they broke things down in there, and they're like, hey, let's test it out right now. Same thing goes for when I'm getting my butt kicked in the game. I can walk over to the arcade cabinet next to the one they're playing at, tying up some stuff in the lab real quick, and hop back on again and get right back to it. So I'd say it's a multiplayer game. They're hitting things on all cylinders on that end.
Yep. As an aside, it also runs and looks great on Steam Deck OLED. So it's pretty fun. That could open the door for locals and more regional esports, right? If something as portable as deck could become a way to execute tournaments. I know that the FGC is still very much using PlayStation 5 for a lot of tournaments, but you look at the sheer size of the PlayStation 5 versus a couple of decks. I could see a future where deck becomes kind of a thing for local esports tournaments for Street Fighter or other games. But a very worthy
PS5
nominee.
is
Definitely
saying you sized.
Yep. Our next nominee here. This is a different kind of multiplayer game, if we're being honest. It's asymmetric, right? This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, shipped earlier this year. We had some fun with this on big team building streams. We've chatted with the devs, got a really good look at the game. It's awesome. I had a blast on our last stream. I jumped down back into the basement probably like 4 times, and I just remember, I think it was Denny and Donovan were like, "There's no way he went back down there." It was like, I definitely went back down there.
Yeah. Also was having his own, Metal Gear moment down there when we're looking around for him.
But this game, really fun, very different than the other nominees in this category, for being honest. But that's what makes this category cool. It's just about, is this game fun to play with friends? Is this game fun to play with other people online? And the answer is yes to both of those in the case of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I do wish there was maybe more level variety, but outside of that, there's time for stuff like that. But the actual core
Yeah, they are still updating the game too. So I mean, they did have a new map drop and a few other characters and stuff like that. So there's still support for the game happening.
Yeah.
Which is a good sign.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I've been talking a lot about F-Zero 99 during the deliberations. It's been nominated for a lot of categories. It's won some awards already that we may or may not have already announced when you're watching this video. But F-Zero 99 has been nominated in this category. It wasn't me. I just want to let you folks know. This was during the nomination process. I was confused when people said that this was a multiplayer game. Because to me, a multiplayer game means I can play with my friends. I can't yet in F-Zero 99. It doesn't mean that we won't be able to in the future. If you look at Tetris 99 or Pac-Man 99, they have added private rooms and stuff and friend code, kind of setups. But F-Zero 99 is a 99-player battle royale, and it's I would say the most technically impressive online video game Nintendo has ever shipped, because you have 99 players racing at once, and it works flawlessly. So from that battle royale perspective, this is a multiplayer game. That's how it ended up here. I don't know if I'm voting for it, which would be weird. But yeah, based on the logic that everyone kind of gave me, it deserved to be nominated at the very least, because I think people view, like, you look at like Halo, you can play Rumble Pit, right, or Deathmatch in Halo, and that's still a multiplayer game, even though you're playing it in a single player fashion. So I think F-Zero 99 kind of applies to this category in that sense, but it's not the traditional nominee. Although, this isn't a traditional year for video games either. But, yeah. F-Zero 99. If you haven't played it, you should be playing it. Anyone else want to chime in on F-Zero 99? Greg, since you're the only one who's won a race. You want to...
It was just like the game takes a tremendous amount of skill, but like there is that slight factor of luck. If someone bumps you on like the last lap and you blow up, you just lose your first place. And I just got lucky that match. I just got lucky. I'm not saying I'm the best F-Zero. I'm not the best F-Zero player in the world. I just got really lucky.
But did you feel good when you won?
I was inebriated, so I was like, "Oh, cool," and then I just moved on. It was very low key.
This is just rubbing salt in the wound at this point.
I wasn't trying to.
I'm gonna like
Seems like it
take a
wasn't
week
shit to
off.
me.
I'm gonna take a week off whenever I win F-Zero 99. You guys aren't gonna be. There's gonna
I
be a
could have been, like I
parade.
said, there's factors. I could have been put like in a lobby where a bunch of people, like, because I was lower level, like, were playing for the first time, and I just, there's a
Right.
million
David,
factors.
we're having a parade in front of Swenson's when it happens.
All right.
But
just
yeah,
substitute in the wave
I'll have
in
both
like a cardboard like F-Zero car.
I'll have my
One.
yeah. Go for it.
Go ahead, Osif.
I'll have my gull wing doors open on the Model X, going up and down as we drive down the street. Playing the
Yeah,
F-Zero
I'll be
theme.
waving one hand, eating a galley boy with the other, talking about F-Zero. It'll be great.
Yep.
I can't think of anything that encapsulates the odd, like, sheer amount of effort that goes into F-Zero 99, but also the weirdness of the luck in that game than watching Osif during our charity stream. And Greg beforehand had said he never gets lucky bumper. And
Had it like 5 times in a row.
5 times in a row on that stream. And
You
it
used
was
all your
just,
lucky bumper energy instead of your first place energy. That's how that.
Oh, I wish it was that, Greg. I really do.
the theory that it senses your despair and hits you with that. I don't know. I think that there's something to it.
It is. It's a gut punch every time you get lucky. Even calling it lucky bumper is such like a thumbing your nose at the player thing. It's like, oh, you died, but don't worry, you're the lucky bumper. It's like, I'm not lucky. I died so
Insult
early.
to injury.
I died so early in the race that you gave me this as a consolation prize. But yeah, I do like stuff like that. And boy, the progression in this game is awesome. The rival mechanic, like even if you're not gonna win, you have these 4 people who are similar to you in your class or license class that you're competing with. That adds to the progression of the game. The in-game cosmetics that you can unlock just through sheer experience is awesome. The fact that you can practice is great. Yeah, this game is awesome for a number of reasons, and it keeps adding modes. Now there's a classic mode with 20 cars on the track. There's the team race, which is actually pretty cool. The concept of like 48 versus 48 or something. I'm not entirely sure how they split those teams up. And then yeah, there's the mini Prix and the Grand Prix. If anyone ever wins a Grand Prix at F-Zero 99, let me know, because I can't think of a harder thing to do than to win. You have to survive 5 races in a row, first of all, but they get increasingly difficult because it goes from 99 to 80 to 60 to 40 to 20 to the winner, right? So yeah, there's lots of ways to play it. It is funny because I do start to see the same names and races with me at times. So like you are playing against the same community. But yeah, the progression system in the game is excellent, even if you're not winning, which I think is important for a multiplayer game. A lot of shooters really, I think, break people because they just get tired of losing or spawning and dying. F-Zero 99 is one of those games where if you play it more, you're going to get better. And that's always a rewarding feeling in any game. But yeah,
For a 99 game too, like that rival system is really hard, is really easy to read. Like you would think that it would be hard to track your 3 other opponents that you're trying to race against. But it's actually really easy to see where they're at if they're in front of you, and like even target them if you want to.
There's like that red flame logo, but then also after every lap, it tells you what places they're on the left. So
yeah,
you know if you're.
I really appreciate that readability and being able to track where my opponents are in the pack.
And any good multiplayer game needs good stat keeping, and F-Zero 99 has amazing stat keeping for wins, losses, how you've done on tracks with individual vehicles. Also, at the end of every race, it tells you how you placed for your vehicle. So last night I was racing and I had first place for Fire Stingray. Felt pretty good about myself. But you know, I was 10th place overall, so still lost. But I do think that a lot of multiplayer games just break people or discourage them from playing. F-Zero 99 doesn't do that. It encourages you to keep trying, and I think that's a great part of it, even though there are moments that really do break you. But that's just, it's a hard game. Just because it's a hard game doesn't mean it's a bad game. or shouldn't be nominated for a category. But we've talked too much about this. Let's on to the next one. Deceive Inc. is receiving a nomination. This is a game that I think has come up in previous categories as well. Anyone want to chat about this?
Yeah, I can.
Go for it, Greg.
I think this is another one of those multiplayer online games that it's just there's so much noise and like you cannot you can miss it, right? Among Us was such a huge smash success, and that was a really slow burn for those who are wondering. That game came out a long time before it got popular, and then this studio took that formula and put a twist on it, and it does it with a 60s aesthetic, which is also interesting because there's not a lot of games that take place in that time period with that art design, which is also, and they give you objectives to do, and it's just an interesting world. I love the art design of it as well. It's one of those things you blink and you miss it because like we said before, it's a big multiplayer DLC will drop and everyone forgets about it. Or yeah, I just think it's definitely worthy nomination. It's definitely a unique, interesting game if you liked Among Us. But you want something with a little bit more meat that doesn't require everyone to be on a voice call. It could be a cool alternative for you, and you should check it out.
And we have some streams with the devs that you could check out too that are pretty hilarious. Yeah, it's a fun, unique game that came out this year. I think it went under a lot of people's radar. To your point, Greg. Awesome. Anyone else want to chime in on Deceive, or should we get to voting? Let's get.
I'm surprised TJ's not jumping in on this. I thought TJ, you liked this game, didn't you?
No, I do. I think it's a great game, and I think the diversity of spies in the game, the sheer amount of gadgets that you can use, it really pays off to have a diverse composition when you do three person mode in that game, because each of them can do such vastly different things. If you're playing as Larson, you can straight up yoink a key card off of an enemy spy if you know they're an enemy spy, and that can prove to be fatal to their cause and ridiculously beneficial to your own if you're getting indoors that you couldn't get in before. I love how much they put into the gameplay style of each of the spies, and the gadgets are fun too. There's one where it's like a laser tripwire, and if somebody walks past it, it will strip their disguise off. And just leaving that out there in a place where there might be security guards, and then letting them walk into that trap and get caught you could create so much chaos in that game in such a jiffy.
So I have a question. This is for anyone who wants to answer. Do you think Deceive Inc. would have done better if it was attached to a spy IP, like Spy versus Spy or Austin Powers or something?
Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
I don't think it'd be the difference in it
Spy
being the
versus
biggest
Spies,
game.
but I think Austin
but,
Powers is so old at this point.
So,
it's
Spy
explained to
versus
the
Spy
generation
would be older.
who Mike Myers is.
Yeah, Spy versus Spy is even older. So
Yeah.
I understand that asking that question is kind of strange, but I just feel when you see Deceive Inc., it's I don't know what that game's about just from reading that name. You know what I mean?
I would counter that philosophy with the idea that Crash Team Rumble launched this year, and that's a well-known IP, and it still doesn't get love among the sheer amount of noise out there.
No, that's fair.
I also feel in this game, there's something about Prop Hunt. If you've ever played Prop Hunt, which was a mod that turned into its own game, there's something about walking past another player in disguise is exhilarating and fun because they're oh, they ran right past me. Same thing. This Deceiving does that in spades. Oh, yeah. There's a player. He just ran right past me.
Yeah, the funniest moments that happened on stream were basically those. Yeah, and it's a good game. People should try it out. Sorry, Don, were you about to say something?
I was gonna say, you talk about the disguise aspect. They've even programmed the AI in Deceive Inc. specifically to do weird, out of the ordinary stuff, so that you look at oh, why is this guy standing on a toilet? That has to be a player. It's no, just the AI fucking with you because it knows you're looking for those human behaviors. So the AI will do weird stuff to throw you off, which just turns everything up another notch.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, I think we should get to voting then. What do you guys say? You down?
Let's do it.
Cool. Denny.
Well, I mean, I think I've been pretty vocal about Street Fighter 6 around here in these parts. We got a fighting game of the year coming. But Yes, I think that it definitely deserves, this kind of celebration here, especially coming out of a scenario where Street Fighter V did not have the best options for multiplayer fun and things like that.
Especially
But
at
coming out the
launch.
gate with yeah, exactly. Launch time was rough, but coming out the gate with crossplay and the battle hub working as good as it is, and just really bringing people together with this title, I think it definitely deserves my pick and vote this year
Nice.
for best multiplayer.
Yeah. I think we made a pretty solid case for it. David.
Well, Denny, first of all, I think you might have a chance for fighting game of the year because it's an even-numbered Street Fighter. But I will go Street Fighter 6. I will go Street Fighter 6 for best multiplayer.
Wow. We have to remember this moment of unity and hold on to
set
it.
the bar.
This is part of the Shacknews Awards cinematic universe. It's
Yeah.
just another.
We've been talking about
Yes.
fighting game of the year in almost every video. We'll continue to do it because we're hyping that up, because it is a very hyped debate that's going to happen. Donovan.
I'm gonna go with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Nice. I had a lot of fun with that game this year. It's very good. If you
Yeah,
haven't
it's so
tried
cool.
it out, highly recommend it. Greg.
Oh God, I was gonna go to Wonder, but like I think I talked myself into Deceive Inc.
Okay. But Mario Wonder's multiplayer is good.
Mm-hmm.
Much better than any other 2D Mario game ever.
It's maybe any Mario game ever. Like it's set the new standard. I'd say.
Yeah, I just there's like Mario Golf has good multiplayer or something.
Well, Mario platformer 2D, 3D,
Yeah.
like this has really evolved on that.
Correct. TJ.
Street Fighter 6. Not just for fighting games, every single multiplayer AAA game
Yep.
should strive to be as accessible and easy to use for so many different things as Street Fighter 6 does.
It does feel like they've handed like here's the blueprint to fighting games specifically. Like here's everything you need to do, and obviously it came from learning from their past mistakes, which is what a good company or good studio will do. Bill.
I have 2 votes. I realized Ozzy didn't submit his vote in the sheet, so I reached out to him when we started, and he got back to me with a fake vote first, which was for Counter-Strike 2, and he quickly corrected himself, and he's voting for Wonder. So Ozzy is voting for Wonder, if you're wondering. And I'm voting for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay. Steve.
I'm going with Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
That's not on brand. That's not on brand at all.
Not
Street Fighter
that is
2's first
no
home
Wonder for me
version,
this time.
Super Nintendo. Steve
He
has loved and
understands
remembered it ever since.
how glorious it is. Yeah, Steve, that's right. You're on the right team. Let's go.
Well,
I had no idea who to go with on this one, so but you guys swayed me.
yeah.
Here's the press release. It's now the Steve Capcom show instead of the Steve Tendo show.
Steve Com.
Steve Capcom.
If they give me Snow Brothers, I will play Capcom every day. But they will not.
Steve Tendocom.
Steve, never give up. And that's all I gotta say. Anyway, Sam voted for Counter-Strike 2. My vote does not matter, but I was gonna vote. I want to be on record as not voting for F-099 in a category. This is that category. I'm voting for Street Fighter 6.
Mario Wonder.
Street Fighter
Oh.
No. Street Fighter 6 is an excellent multiplayer game. It does everything I want in a multiplayer game. And as a casual fighting game fan, it's actually fun for me. Like, it's not just fun for hardcore fighting game fans. Like, it's fun for a casual to walk in and play. And I could play Denny with modern controls and he's on a fight stick. Like, the amount of options that friends can get together and play this game with is awesome. Like, it needs to be celebrated, and they crushed it. And thank God they like learned from their mistakes. Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Street
So
Fighter
I'm
6
talking about.
Street Fighter 6 is awesome. It's gonna be on people's Game of the Year lists.
The Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
Again, and again, and again,
Every
and
other-
Seven will
again.
suck,
Every
and they'll
other
be, oh my god, it's a long con. They just make every odd one terrible, so that way you buy the even one.
Spoiler alert, that's what Sony does with their consoles. Oh!
Ooh,
Yes,
jeez.
great.
Atomic
Got it.
bomb dropped. It's true, oddly enough. But anyway, we can argue about hardware some other day. We're here to celebrate Capcom hitting a home run with Street Fighter 6. In a year with a lot of great multiplayer games, you look at this list, I've said this in a lot of categories, these games are all great. And they're great for different reasons. They innovated in different ways in their own genres. And F-099 just existing is baffling to a lot of people. But Street Fighter 6 being awesome is not. And it being a great multiplayer game is not a surprise based on how much work they put into it. So congratulations, Capcom. You have won the Shacknews Award for the best multiplayer game of 2023, Street Fighter 6.
Street Fighter 6.